Hello and welcome. If you're building with AI, you know the feeling, right? The costs can start to climb, and those response times can get, well, a little sluggish. Today, we're jumping into a practical playbook that's all about tackling those two things head on. This is your guide to making your AI apps faster, cheaper, and way more efficient.
That's a pretty bold promise, isn't it? Cut your bill in half. But here's the thing, it's not some kind of magic trick. It's really just a series of smart, strategic moves you can make. And in this explainer, we're going to unpack every single one of those 7 changes to give you a clear roadmap to some serious savings and a much snappier app.
And that is a totally fair question. I mean, the world of large language models is just exploding with options, and it can feel pretty overwhelming. Do you need a new model? Should you be tweaking your prompts? The key isn't trying to do everything all at once. It's about starting with a really solid foundation.
So the core challenge that we're all bumping up against is actually pretty simple. The amazing, mind-blowing power of modern LLMs comes with a pretty steep price tag. And that price isn't just in dollars and cents, it's also in time. You know, the latency, that pause it takes to get a response back. And that can be a huge roadblock when you're trying to scale things up.
This right here visualizes that fundamental trade-off perfectly. You've got the most powerful models, the ones that can do all this complex reasoning, but they are almost always the most expensive to run and the slowest to respond. The very thing that makes them so incredible is also their biggest operational headache. Our goal here is to figure out how to break that link.
So, before we even think about touching a line of code or changing a single setting, we have to start right here. This is the absolute bedrock of any kind of optimization. If you skip this step, you're pretty much just flying blind.
It's a classic saying for a really good reason. Any change you make is just a shot in the dark unless you have the data to back it up, to prove it's actually working. Measurement is what turns guesswork into a repeatable, effective strategy. It is your non-negotiable first step.
Okay, so what exactly should you be tracking? First off, your cost per request, or even better, per user. Then, that end-to-end latency. How long does it really take for your user to get an answer? And this next one is crucial. You've got to monitor your P95 latency. See, the average can hide a lot of problems. The P95 tells you about the experience of your unhappiest 5% of users, and that's a much more honest measure of your real-world performance.
All right, now that we have our measurement foundation all set up, we can finally look at the tools. Think of these 7 levers as the core of our optimization toolkit. Each one gives you a totally different way to get a handle on your cost and latency.
And here they are: caching, routing, model choice, token budgeting, truncation, batching, and streaming. Some of these are about reducing the amount of work the model has to do, while others are more about improving your user's perception of speed. Let's break down a few of the heaviest hitters. First up is caching. You can think of this as the ultimate work smarter, not harder tool. If you're sending the exact same request over and over again, like a really complex system prompt, caching that result means you only pay the model to figure it out once. It's incredibly effective, and honestly, it's often the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to optimization.
Next up, routing. Imagine you have a smart traffic cop for all your AI requests. A router can take a look at a task, figure out how complex it is, and then send it to the right model for the job. You got a simple summarization task? Great. Send it over to a cheap, fast model. But complex code generation? Okay, then you can call in the big, expensive, powerful one.
Picking the right model is such a critical balancing act. As you can see right here, there's a really direct trade-off between power and speed. You just don't always need the biggest, baddest, state-of-the-art model. A lot of the time, a smaller, faster, and cheaper one is more than good enough for the task at hand.
Always remember, in the world of LLMs, you pay for every single piece of data that gets processed, and we call those tokens. So controlling your tokens is a direct way to control your costs. Token budgeting lets you set a hard limit on the model's response length, which is great for preventing those runaway expenses. And then truncation does the same thing, but on the input side, intelligently shortening what you send so you're only processing the most essential info.
So, we've looked at all these individual levers. But you know, their real power, that comes from combining them into these actionable strategies, or what we'll call plays. Let's see what that looks like in the real world.
Here are some super concrete plays you could put into action, like today. Notice how they're just combinations of our levers? Caching your system prompts, that's the caching lever. Chunking long documents is just a smart form of truncation. Routing tasks by complexity uses both routing and model choice. And capping your output tokens, that's pure token budgeting. These are immediate, high-impact changes you can make.
Okay, it's really crucial to remember that optimization is not a one-and-done kind of fix. It's a continuous process. It's a strategic cycle that's going to keep your application efficient and cost-effective for the long haul. And it all comes down to this simple but really powerful loop. First, you measure your key metrics to find out where the problems are. Second, you optimize by pulling one of those 7 levers we talked about. And third, you monitor the results to see what kind of impact you had. And then, the cycle just begins again.
Seriously, try to make this a habit. Just set aside a little time every month to run through this cycle. The whole AI landscape is changing so fast. There are always new models, new techniques. A quick monthly check-in just ensures you're always running the most efficient system you possibly can.
And that's really the ultimate goal here, isn't it? Saving money and cutting down latency isn't just about efficiency for efficiency's sake. It's about freeing up your resources, both money and compute, that you can now reinvest into building awesome new features, serving more users, and just pushing the boundaries of what you can build. So, the real question is, what will you build next?